Talk? You want me to talk?
Yeah.
Well, we're at the old site of Studio Z. This building replaced Frank's Studio Z. Now this building is being replaced. As you notice, it's for rent, and it looks as empty as Frank's studio looked the day after he got busted. So you got here Frank. We are now in a time zone, and we're experiencing the post-bust Studio Z by the emptiness of this building. When they cleared all of Frank's stuff out, knocked it down, this building would have looked like this before it got knocked down. It's empty. So this is August 6th, Hiroshima Day. This represents the end times of Frank's land, which happened in, it seems to be October 64 is when he was busted. So we're here 22 years later, no, 32 years later. 32 years later after his bust, 1996. I was here 30 years ago in this neighborhood, July 30th, 1966. 30 years ago I came through this area. The day after Dylan had his motorcycle accident, and the day after July 30th was the day after July 29th when Gail Zappa had her first date with Frank at the Guamo concert. Okay? Okay. Now, did you go across there and get a picture? Right? So Jerry, I would suggest you walk across and get a long view. And then do a scan on the area, unless you've already done it.
No, I already did that. We don't have...
This is Studio Z, most avant-garde concepts going. You want me to talk?
Yeah.
This is the back of Studio Z, the original building. We thought maybe it was not the original building, but we found out from the neighbor next door here that it is. The neighbor next door was an older lady whose husband once fixed Frank's car. He was, the older guy was the father, the husband of this lady was a mechanic, and Frank asked him to fix his car at one point, right in this lot here. And this parking lot was here. This whole building structure was where Frank conceived the musical position of the satellite conductor. Built a studio, built a satellite environment, spaceship environment inside that studio. Right?
Between a motel and a library.
Yes. And if you want to, just look at the old original houses, and then we'll go around front and look at the front. And so Jerry, you get Archibald down here. You can, as you walk, you see Archibald Street. Now look at me, do the area. So you see Archibald down there? Get Archibald as he approaches. Get a scan. Look at the side of this building, Jerry. Now the point is that this was Paul. I want to say this was originally PAL Studios, Paul Buff Studios, right?
Yep.
Frank acquired this apparently in August 1st, 1964. And the old lady next door remembers Frank getting arrested. Estacia. What does Estacia mean? And down there you got Foothill. Foothill and Archibald, but right actually at Estacia. So Jerry, I think you want to go across and get the long view on it because it's real. Over here. You want to get the mountains, Jerry. Okay, looks like that guy's going to turn. Go. Did you get a bit of this? Then get the corner.
Now say where the library was.
That's where the library was?
Yeah, right where the dairy.
And where the post office was, the library was across the street. She had to run.
Oh yeah, the post office was right at the dairy.
Where's the dairy?
Right there, where that truck is.
Way
the
over.
Car is.
Isn't that, now it's a gas station, so it must be...
No, that's the dairy. It says Altadena right there.
Oh,
That's
okay,
the same
that's
type.
And the post office was over here. And I'm going to go across so you can get me in front of the thing, okay?
Now I'm just going to walk with you.
Okay. Get the map. So this is the original brick, Jerry. The original structure. Only the insides was torn out. Frank's Studio Z, disguised as a spaceship, was located here. Now, he was busted and all his studio torn down and removed. So we're kind of looking at the way this place looked after Studio Z was ripped out and all his tapes possessed, appropriated by the police. And so it's in there that Frank made the legendary porno tape, or as he thought it was going to be, a training film. The training film is the key point that Zappa continuously referred to in subsequent albums, that he was educating the general populace about people who do not do stuff that is normal. How does it go, Jerry?
That do stuff that is not normal.
Yeah, do stuff that is not normal. What did I say? Do not do stuff that is normal. They do stuff that is not normal. He was asked to make a film for the local police department to train them in how to deal with abnormal people. And that's what he thought he was making the movie for, the soundtrack for, and the movie and the documentary. And it was not really the motive of the police to get that training film. They wanted to set him up with a busted porno tape. But you can see that Freak Out was an album about training people on bizarre behavior. So the concept of continuing to do, the concept of Frank's albums, the conceptual continuity was that he was replaying the original setup, that he was assigned to do a training film for the general populace about people for people who do things that's not normal. And that is the Freak Out motif. This is to educate you about freaks and people who cast off outmoded social customs and cliches. That the whole listing of names on Freak Out was presented as an educational document. And I think that that is an original concept that Frank always felt he was doing, documenting such later bizarre behavior as the Illinois Enema Bandit and everybody else, and Stevie Spanking. Always citing, he seemed to concentrate on bizarre, perverted behavior, replaying the trauma of being busted and set up with the original agenda of creating a educational film, educational documentary. Anything you want to say, Jerry?
No, I want to get this. There, can you talk about the numerology of 8040?
I am touching the door that Frank touched. This is the door that Frank touched, or approximately. It may not be the exact same design, but very similar. I mean, the brick is here. He could have knocked it out, but basically there are no windows in the original building. So they did put windows in. And look, it's for rent. Okay.
Talk about the 8040.
Well, 8040 adds up to 12, but he then went to, after he moved out of here, he moved to Echo Park, but then he ended up living at Pamela Zarubica's house, which was 8404. Am I right, Jerry? 8404 Kirkwood. So similar number, 8404 and 8040. Let's go. What, did you get the mountains?
Yep.
I like this. This is country stuff, man. Country turf, country lawn.
Get right over here.
Come in?
Yeah. Okay, now.
Did you get it, Stacia? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now talk about Frank.
Well, Frank's concept of being a satellite conductor was initiated here by designing his studio as a spaceship rocket, which was a movie set for the movie Captain Beefheart versus the Grunt People. And that was the year, well, 62, 63, 64 was the popularization of the, what was it, the Mercury Moon project, the NASA project. First part was Mercury, and then it became Apollo. But Telstar was a big hit in 62, so the satellite environment was sort of impinging on people's consciousness. Frank was already adapting it as a popular culture metaphor, creating concentration moon, which would be the satellite position would be standing on the moon looking at the Earth. The Earth would be the concentration camp, or the moon unit. So concentration moon, later echoed in the Portuguese moon landing. These ideas Frank worked with all through his career, and in the end ended up in Moscow and was offered by the head bureaucrat at Gosfilm, access to the new Russian satellite. And so Frank wanted to start a network with the help of the Moscow satellite called ZNN, which would, I guess, compete with CNN. So Frank always wanted to create his music from the satellite position, and he almost pulled it off after 1989, 1990. No, it was 1990. He had that meeting. What was that? That meeting was 89 or 90. I think it was 89, and then they went back. No, Van Carlson was there, so it had to be 90, right?
Yep.
January 90. So satellite consciousness. So a very important abstract avant-garde concept was initiated here at this building, at the corner of Archibald and Foothill Boulevard, but actually Archibald and Anastasia, if you consider this little street here. So I would say that Frank was intuiting the role of the solar government in managing world bureaucracies, corporate and governmental and national. And I was on the Secret Council 10, working for the Secret Council 10, working from the solar government position. And I came and visited Frank in this period, starting in 1958, but I hovered around this in middle 60s, watching Frank intuit the new solar government structure that I was working for. That's all we'll say. We can maybe develop this in Lancaster. Okay?
Come here. Come here. Well, say what you like here.
Well, I said, well, like, I just want you to get a shot of this wall.
Why?
Because it's what the studio was originally. It had no windows. Right? So it was a blank thing like this. So you got the perfect, rather than Lancaster, we did it here.
Yeah.
You see how, you know, we humans aim for a certain point, but it's not exactly what's going to happen, but it's close, right?